The following program is exclusively produced by Big Head Amusements for KQEK Digital.
Might as well just start from the beginning and ask how you got into film scoring.
It was something that I always wanted to do, and I spent my time playing a lot of other kinds of music, and then as I got to be a little bit older, I thought I should go for it, I was playing cover music and writing music for a long time, and, it just seemed right once it happened. It was perpetual and just, seemed like it had been waiting for me forever to do that or something.
And I've noticed that with your CV, you've tackled a whole bunch of different genres, but I guess you could sort of say your specialty seems to be independent films that deal with a lot of interesting subject matters, sometimes challenging subject matters. That's a bit on the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, they're all indie films, but, so I've done a number of horror films and documentaries and, sort of romantic comedies. I'm just about to start Larry Clark's new film, so I'm kind of going all over the place. But that's what makes it interesting, the chance to do something that I wouldn't have a reason to do otherwise.
Well, I think one of the directors that you worked with a couple of times is Stuart Gordon, who's always been one of my favorite directors, and he's always one of these directors who makes really interesting films that never quite manage to sort of break out, except for a few rare exceptions like the cult favorite Reanimator. But I think the two films that you've done, they've been respectively really interesting little dramas.
Oh, you mean Edmund and Stuck, probably?
Yeah.
Both of those were great, and Stuck as well. And, I think Stuck played really well to people that saw it. And I think Stewart treads that line between comedy and, dark material really well. And, it's a shame that sometimes they don't get a wider audience, They played really well at festivals, like I said, and I'm really proud of both of those films, and working with Stewart.
I wonder if you could describe a little bit about your working process with Stuart.
He pretty much has sage advice, kind of like broad overstrokes, and he gives me a lot of freedom, but he also gives me some really great guidance. So I guess initially, he always gives me the script first. So with Stuart, I'm always reading the script before, and I usually have it before they're shooting. And so I have a lot of time to spend with that. And we usually get together and talk about it before he shoots. And then afterwards, we do a proper spotting session. Then he leaves me alone for a few weeks because he knows my process is really, labor-intensive and time-consuming. I only use acoustic instruments, and I play a majority of them myself, So he really gives me a lot of time. And then comes in the great thing that you want a director to be. He's really clear about what he wants, and what he likes. So it's been a great experience working with him. I guess we've worked on 4 projects together.
Well, you mentioned your use of acoustic instruments, and that's something that was really strong in No Impact Man. Was it your conscious choice to focus more on acoustic, or was it something that just sort of came out of the necessity of budgets and just the filmmaker's needs?
You mean on movies in general, or on No Impact Man?
No Impact Man, if it's sort of a reflection, say, of your writing style, that you tend to really prefer acoustic.
Yeah, I haven't used an electronic instrument yet. I don't know. It's funny because I'm actually collaborating with a friend on some sort of electronic stuff right now. Initially I grabbed some instruments, had my music editor and some other people help me gather some electronic stuff, and I figured I would just start writing with it. And I wasn't really happy with what I was coming up with, so like most things, I just decided to collaborate with somebody who's really great at that, and so that's what I'm doing with that. And tonight, now to sort of explore that a little bit, I don't think it was really an ethical decision, or I just was really more attached to the sounds I would get acoustically, and I feel like there's just so many more harmonics, and it's so much more random and airy. I don't know, I've just never really been attracted to electronic sounds so much, but I do enjoy approximating, electronic sounds and effects with acoustic instruments. That's always fun.
And when you're recording the music itself, is there anything that you do that perhaps is considered unique nowadays? Because obviously if a producer wants a mock-up or if a producer wants the finished score, it tends to be created digitally and then it's delivered digitally. But in your case, do you do anything unusual in your recording process, like use specific analog equipment, for example, to get a warm sound instead?
No, it's kind of comically simple. I use a preamp into an interface. I use a Motu Traveler interface, and I just go into Digital Performer. I think I'm still using 4.1. I'm still waiting for the new Mac Pro to come out like everybody else. But I have a really simple line. I just try to have a good mic and a good preamp, and then I just send it in. And once I'm in there, I only use reverb. That's the only effect I really use. I might have used a delay here and there, but not very much. I think there are a lot of things you can do with layering sounds together. You can get a lot of those effects, a chorus effect, a delay effect. I play acoustic instruments, but I have the advantage of unlimited tracks, and I guess I enjoy sort of organic conception. Like I want to catch everything organically, the recording process, and then I'm not precious about editing it. I'll chop it up, I'll move it, once it's in there. So I think digital is, invaluable for editing and that kind of thing. And that's part of writing, a lot of days with loops and stuff. I make loops out of acoustic sounds, and that's, I guess, like I said, just the initial conception of the sound. I'm just more interested in what I can do with acoustic instruments.
Well, I just think it's kind of an interesting contrast with, say, if you meet with a producer or director and they want to hear some themes, I guess the expectation in the industry is that they want to hear sort of a complete synth mock-up of what you're going to do. But I think the contrast to that is where you basically can perform that theme using an acoustic instrument, which I think is a very different thing. I think that to some regard maybe the filmmaker can connect better with a singular performance because it's more of your voice, plus you can also make that particular performance more intimate for a certain character or give it kind of an edgier sound just purely based on performance.
I think that they know what I do. I think we go in there with them knowing that I'm going to experiment and I'm going to mess around, and hopefully we're all pleasantly surprised. But it is hard to sort of go for something really directly. And I deal with that, these days everybody demos for stuff, and I deal with that with demoing. I'm getting pretty quick at it now, but really all I do is accelerate the process and don't sleep for a few days and spend a couple of 19-hour days making demos, But, so, I just do what I know how to do, which is respond to the film. And luckily, we tend to be pleasantly surprised so far, knock on wood. But, yeah, it does complicate the process, I guess.
And then just my last question is, what's your current project?
I'm just about to start Larry Clark's new film,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Marfa Girl, and that's my next project. Earlier in the year, I finished The New York Heartbeat, which was a 50s kind of crime drama. Got to do a lot of jazz on that, and earlier in the year, I finished The Barons with Darren Bausman. That one's going to be coming out in the fall, in October, I guess. So that's what I've been up to these days.
I really like the variety of filmmakers that you work with because it's very eclectic, and it must also really sort of get your creative juices going where you have all these different personalities and these different types of assignments that you have to work on.
I feel really lucky. Sometimes I'll do a couple things in a row and I'll think, oh man, I'm going to be a horror guy now. I've just done 2 horror movies. And then it's funny, the next project always seems to, take a little shift, which is great. And I feel at home, in a lot of these things. I guess there's some things that I don't really feel, maybe that'd be a good thing to go after. I don't feel that comfortable going after maybe some big action movie or something, But, I kind of take whatever comes and try to grow from it. And yeah, the personalities, it's amazing. It's the best part of the job is working with directors and producers and really smart people that are creative, and, collaborating is, really what it's all about.
For related film and film music reviews, please visit KQEK.com. This program is copyright 2013 by Mark R. Hassan.